Hi everyone, and welcome back to Secure Your Benefits. I'm so glad you're here today. Whether you've been following the channel for a while or this is your very first time watching, thank you for being here. I want to take a moment to share something from the heart. Every single day, I put in hours of research to bring you real, verified, and helpful Social Security updates. I never post fake headlines or misleading content, only the truth, backed by official sources. But honestly, it hurts when I don't get the support back. When videos are watched but not liked, shared, or commented on, it feels like the effort goes unseen. All I ask is, if you find my videos helpful even just a little, please take a moment to like, share, or leave a comment. It means more than you know, and it helps this channel grow so I can continue helping more people like you. Your support keeps this going. Now, let's dive into today's important updates. I hope you're doing well today. In this video, we're talking about an important update that could impact millions of Americans who rely on Social Security benefits each month. This update deals with how the Social Security Administration, or SSA, handles cases where people are accidentally overpaid. It's a topic that has caused confusion, stress, and even hardship for many people, especially retirees and those living on a fixed income. Today, we'll explain what's actually happening, how it might affect you or someone you care about, and what steps you can take if you receive an overpayment notice. Let's start by understanding what an overpayment means. Sometimes, due to mistakes in paperwork, computer glitches, or timing issues with income or status changes, the SSA might send more money to a beneficiary than they were supposed to receive. This could happen to anyone: a retiree, someone on disability, or a survivor collecting benefits on behalf of a family member. The problem is, the SSA often doesn't discover these overpayments until months or even years later. And when they do, they send out letters asking people to pay that money back, sometimes in the tens of thousands of dollars. Now, let's be clear, these overpayments are usually not the recipient's fault. Most people receiving Social Security are doing everything right. They report their income, they update the agency about life changes, and they follow the rules. But errors can still happen on the agency's end. And when they do, the burden unfortunately falls on the person who received the money. That's where things start to get stressful. Until recently, if the SSA determined that you were overpaid, they could withhold up to 100% of your monthly benefits until the full amount was repaid. That means if someone received $2,000 a month, they would get nothing until the entire overpayment was recovered. For someone living paycheck to paycheck, or relying solely on their Social Security check to pay rent, buy food, or afford medicine, that's simply not sustainable. It created serious financial hardships for thousands of people across the country. Many couldn't pay their bills, lost housing, or had to rely on food banks and family just to get by. Back in 2023 and early 2024, due to public outcry and media coverage, the SSA, under guidance from previous administration officials, made a change. They reduced the default withholding rate from 100% down to just 10%. That gave people more time and flexibility to repay the debt without losing all of their monthly income. It was a move that many saw as compassionate and reasonable, especially given that the errors were often not caused by the beneficiaries themselves. However, earlier this year, in March 2025, the withholding rate was pushed back up to 100% by the SSA under the current administration. This decision was met with immediate criticism and concern from the public, advocacy groups, and even some lawmakers. The idea of taking someone's entire Social Security check, especially in cases where the person is not at fault, raised serious ethical and financial questions. Thankfully, there's now been a partial reversal. As of April 25, 2025, the SSA announced a new policy update. Going forward, if you receive an overpayment notice, the SSA will no longer automatically withhold 100% of your monthly benefit. Instead, the new default rate will be up to 50%. While it's not as low as the 10% cap that existed before, it's still a significant step back in the right direction. This change is intended to reduce the financial burden on those affected, while still allowing the government to recover funds that were paid out in error. It's important to note that this new policy does not apply to everyone. If you receive SSI supplemental security income, your withholding cap remains at 10%. The 50% withholding applies only to Social Security retirement, survivor, and disability benefits. Also, this change only affects overpayment notices that are sent out on or after April 25, 2025. If you received a letter before that date, the previous rules may still apply unless you request a change. Now, if you do receive an overpayment notice from the SSA, here's what you should know. First, don't panic and don't ignore the letter. You do have options. The SSA allows you to request a waiver if you believe the overpayment was not your fault and that repaying it would cause you financial hardship. If the waiver is approved, you won't have to repay the amount at all. That's a powerful option for those who truly can't afford to pay the money back or who had no way of knowing an error occurred. Another option is to request a reconsideration. That means asking the SSA to review your case again. Maybe the overpayment amount is incorrect, or maybe you believe you weren't actually overpaid. Requesting reconsideration puts the collection process on hold until the review is complete. You can also ask the SSA to lower the withholding amount. If the default 50% rate is too much for you to handle, you can request a more affordable repayment plan, say 10% or 20% of your monthly benefit. This can give you more room to manage your daily expenses while still making progress on the repayment. One thing to keep in mind is timing. If you receive an overpayment notice, the SSA will generally give you 30 days to respond before the withholding begins. After that, the agency will typically start reducing your benefit around 60 to 90 days after the notice was sent. So it's important to act quickly and respond before your payments are affected. This situation also raises broader questions about how the Social Security Administration tracks payments and errors. Many advocacy groups and policy experts believe the agency needs to modernize its systems and reduce the number of overpayment cases. They also argue that there should be a time limit or statute of limitations on how far back the SSA can go to demand repayment. For example, if an error occurred 5 or 10 years ago, and the agency didn't notice it until now, is it really fair to demand repayment from someone who may have already spent that money in good faith? It's worth noting that the SSA is currently dealing with staffing shortages and increased demand, which has led to processing delays and communication gaps. That can contribute to the problem, and it's something lawmakers are being urged to address in upcoming budget and policy discussions. At Secure Your Benefits, our goal is to keep you informed with honest, up-to-date information about Social Security, Medicare, and other vital programs. We understand how important these benefits are, especially in times of economic uncertainty. That's why we focus on delivering content that is fact-based, non-partisan, and helpful without hype, rumors, or fear-mongering. So to recap the main takeaway from today's video, the Social Security Administration will no longer withhold 100% of monthly payments for most overpayment cases. Instead, they'll default to withholding up to 50%, unless you request a lower rate or file for a waiver. If you receive SSI, this change does not affect you, your cap remains at 10%. And if you receive an overpayment letter after April 25, 2025, be sure to review your options carefully and respond within the given time frame. If you found this information helpful, please consider subscribing to Secure Your Benefits and sharing this video with others who might benefit. We're here to help you understand your rights and make the most of the benefits you've worked so hard to earn. Thank you for watching, take care of yourself and your loved ones, and we'll see you in the next video.